Greetings and salutations, my dear audience. This is Joe St. Egg Benedictus coming at you with a new video series on my sabbatical that is intended to come up in July through September of 2026. So I have a year away if you're watching this fresh or when it's newly published, but I'd like for you to journey with me on my sabbatical as I explore cosmology, science and the Bible, and various things. This will be a little new approach to my channel. It's not going to dominate all the videos. However, I do want to include some of the things that I'm learning while on sabbatical, especially when it relates to the cosmology and spirituality in general. So it's more of a podcast kind of format, and I hope that you journey with me. I want to give a shout out to my pal Mike, to all the visionaries and mystics out there. Thank you for joining me today on the road to Sabbatical 2026. My church aspires to grant me sabbatical in that summer of 2026 as our church seeks a season of renewal, rest, and refocus. And perhaps you've never heard of a pastoral sabbatical. Well, according to Robert Saylor, director of the Lilly Endowment Renewal Project, a sabbatical is an extended period in which the pastor steps away from the day-to-day practices of ministry in order to focus on spiritual development with an eye toward returning to the congregation with renewed energy for ministry. It incorporates both the pastor and the congregation in the work of renewal. It's not just for the pastor alone, because it's an entire congregational journey of spiritual renewal, revitalization, and really rediscovering the heart of ministry for a new season ahead. In this particular sabbatical, I am trying to compete for a Lilly Endowment Renewal Project grant, which awards roughly 150 grants to churches and their pastors who are seeking sabbatical. And really the one requirement, aside from a few technical things, is that the project or the grant is awarded to something or a project that makes the pastor's heart sing. So I chose to focus on cosmology and Psalm 19 for the basis of my project. Psalm 19 states, "The heavens are telling of the glory of God, and the law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul." So the purpose of this particular sabbatical is to provide an intentional time of prayer and reflection and discovery for me and for our congregation, surrounding specifically the origins of the universe, the heavens that declare the glory of God, and really the awe that inspires spiritual revitalization. Psalm 19 also states that the heavens are telling of the glory of God that pours forth speech. It states that the exploration of God's creation can revive the soul. And the program seeks to connect me and the congregation with the grandeur of God's creation, bringing the heart of God's people back to the law of the Lord, reviving the soul. That's Psalm 19:7. And that's what makes my heart sing. Exploring space, time, and the universe is a passion that I've had since I was a child. And all too often, ministers and churches forget that they belong to something larger than themselves. They get stuck in tribal allegiances and echo chambers, daily church business and planning, renovations, cultural enclaves. And sometimes, in order to bring about sustainable, life-giving revitalization to a church community, a congregation has to catch a spark of awe, a refascination with its founding and calling, and its ties to God's creation. Discovering awe, seated in God's creation from the first pages of Genesis to the newest insights of human technology, can be a catalyst for restoring a global, historical perspective that jars a congregation from short-sightedness and thrusts them into God's future. Exploring the heavens can have a regenerative power to expand the missional heart of the church, to pour forth speech, in the words of Psalm 19, in ever new, creative, and meaningful ways. And for that reason, this proposal of the sabbatical is to incorporate a program of study of cosmology and nature and science. And during that sabbatical, which is roughly 12 weeks, my plan is to make a pilgrimage across the United States, covering over 8,000 miles, to explore God's natural features on Earth, while touring astronomical points of interest, including observatories and planetariums, and meeting the people and staff who are tied to these sites. But it will also include intentional times of writing and recreation to reflect on my learnings. By allowing the heavens to declare God's glory, the congregation and I aim to foster a refreshing, bold, missional look. To boldly go, some would say, of their shared future together and of our shared future together. But I hope that you join me too, and that the journey will be a fruitful one, and that over the next year, you'll just tune in, you'll like and subscribe, and especially if you're into cosmology and astronomy, that you'll really benefit from this revitalization project, because it's not just for me or the congregation. It really is for God's people in this time and place. Hey, thank you for joining me. We'll see you next time.